watching the Share and Share Like show with me. Yes, I have a kitty. This is my kitty, Dorley. You are watching the Share and Share Like show with me, Share Gorgeous, and this is the Hotel Sharifornia Studios, and you are all tonight part of the Share Force. Anyway, so I don't really know what's going on in the news today, not because there's nothing going on, but because I guess didn't really check. And Dorley's hanging out over here on my notes. That would be my manager. My boss tells me what to do. And, yeah, so, but I did think of a few things. Today is National Corn Fritters Day. Now, I don't know about any of you, but I've never heard of a corn fritter until today. And then I thought, well, I like corn, and maybe there's other things in it I would like. So, if you look on my page, not now you're watching the show, but like later or like tomorrow or sometime in the future, you'll see that I kind of made them out of like corn bread mix, and it was really lazy, and I just added, thank you, Kathy, and hi, Jimmy, and also, hi, Andrea, hi, everyone. Okay, that's a blanket statement, sorry, but makes my life easier. So, I made these corn fritters, and I just decided, I saw like some recipes that had like scallions. I'm like, I could add scallions, they said. And then they said to add a few other things. I'm like, fine, screw it, I'll do it. So that was my dinner tonight. So happy Corn Fritters Day, everyone. From something I've never heard of to something I actually made. Go figure. What else? I can't see anything. Need the magic lenses here. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah. So, wow, my hair is doing a thing. Anyway, so, what do you call it? Basically, so I forgot to tell this story yesterday. It has to do with my beach trip that, I rode 12 miles to when I barely ride 12 inches. And that is not a creepy joke or anything. Really, literally, with my bike, I'm like scared. But I rode 12 miles, which is wild, to Rockaway Beach. But then we, of course, punked out and weren't going to exactly ride another 12 miles to get back to wherever we were going. So we took, the shuttle train to the A train. While we're waiting for the A train, there were like a million mosquitoes. Everybody, you see them like slapping themselves, and basically, wow, does my hair look better now, Kathy? Anyway, so, hey, Fleur. So, what do you call it? So basically, yeah, it's like a nice, so now I found out that calamine lotion is now in a spray. So this might be like my new perfume for the summer, and that's all I'm going to wear. To hell with it. I'm going to be pink or white or whatever it turns into, instead of like my golden tan that I've gotten the last couple of days. And, yeah, I'm going to smell like alcohol and something else. Which most people probably smell like now because of hand sanitizer anyway. So I'm in good company. Anyway, last but not least, I had my nails done today because for no reason other than it's summer and I want yellow nails, which look white on this screen. God help me. Anyway, so without further ado, I'll shut up and we can bring Aaron on and he can talk for a little while. Okay, one moment. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, how you doing, love?
Good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Surprisingly well, given the state of things.
Yeah. What have you been doing during this time?
It's been an amazing, one of the amazing outcomes of this is that I've been able to spend an exceedingly large amount of time with my lovely wife, and
love Sarah.
Yeah. Sarah. So it's been really great to just be around her all the time and get to experience, because I was on the road so much for a couple of years and working so much that we didn't really get to spend that much time together. So It's been an absolute joy just being able to hang out with her and getting to know each other, even though we pretty much know each other as well as two people can know each other. But I think one of the greatest things about this whole thing going on is just spending time with people you love and getting to spend time with yourself, you know. Stopping.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, yeah, you know. Isn't it great? To like reflect and kind of figure your shit out.
That's basically been my life the last 4 months.
Right.
Yesterday was the first time I've seen anybody I knew intentionally.
Right. I think outside of probably two people in the past 4 months, we have not seen socialized at all. And yeah, it's been really strange, but it's been great because I've been getting to experience that with Sarah. So, what have you come to any big epiphanies or realizations in the whole process?
Come again?
Have you come to any realizations or epiphanies in the whole process?
Many that
one with yourself.
Yeah, I'm actually, you know, it was the first time that since I've been living, everybody thinks I live in the East Village, but that's a popular misconception about me, I guess, because I spent so much time there.
Keep the myth alive.
Yeah, I was keeping it alive for a while, and I didn't even live there. I'm like, how about one of you fuckers keep it alive? You live here. I live like a half hour away.
Right.
Sorry, it's gonna rain tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, I live in, I was even managing a band that was at, where was that place on Allen and Houston and National Underground.
Right.
And that you sat in with one time even, funnily enough. But, the Guns N' Roses tribute band.
Ah, cool. I love those guys.
Yeah, they're great guys. Rob's going to be on here in a couple of weeks or next week or something like that.
Oh, great. I'll have to tune in. I love Rob.
Yeah.
Great bass player.
Yeah, amazing. So, and he was the one who put that whole thing together and wanted me to, like, manage it or something. And I was like, not doing much. Sure, why not? That was like 10 years ago. Wow. So, nice. I know, where the hell does the time go?
I don't know,
but to answer your question, I've actually gotten to know some things about my neighborhood, and sometimes, as recently as a few days ago, like, it's made me want to, there's a lot of birds, and, I love nature, so, in case everybody else doesn't know, I love nature, and, right, exactly, so I've been trying to figure out what birds are which that I see around. Like, I learned what a starling was. I try to get pictures of them when I can. Well, I've always done that. But, and then a couple days ago, I went to this area called Forest Park. And by the way, I live in Forest Hills, if I wasn't, clear about that before.
Right.
But anyway.
That's Queens, right?
That's in Queens. That's deep in Queens.
Right.
Not deep as in, not as far deep as, say, Springfield, which nobody knows where that, or Springfield Gardens, I think it's called. But, I'm not on the border of Nassau or anything, but, yeah, I'm deep. I'm in there. And, I've seen this park. I've been by there. But it's been years that I even went in. Uh-huh. And I never went in deep, and I realized it was, a lot of hiking trails. And I ended up seeing, and it's home of the Ramones too. Thank you, Andrea. But I ended up seeing all these chipmunks and what else? And I saw a cardinal, but seeing a cardinal go through a dark area, it's it's majestic because it's so dark and there's a flash of red coming through there. I heard a woodpecker, didn't see it, because all I could hear was banging on a tree, which I'm like, where's Woody? Anyway, so,
right.
Where's the weird woodpecker sound that kind of sounds like Woody Woodpecker, but not really. It's funny, because I was visiting my parents in Florida a couple of years ago, I heard something that just went, and I'm like, that kind of sounds like Woody Woodpecker. Okay, that's passable. I'm like, that's where they got that crazy laugh from. So, I mean, I heard one that did that around here. I'm like, we're getting woodpeckers up here. Okay.
I know it's strange because, that's not normally sound you associate with New York City, but...
Right, but I never see chipmunks in, like, any other parts of Queens or in, like, Central Park or Prospect Park. I'm like, where are these little, I'm like, how come you don't see these little guys anywhere else? I'm like, look, there's Chip, there's Dale, and there's the third one. Something just happened. You're still there, but, we get possums, raccoons, ugly, nasty creatures that will probably bite you or something attractive. But, yeah, so what made you move to Atlanta? I feel like, and don't take, you and I, and Sarah and I are usually in touch. I feel like you guys kind of did this in the middle of the night without telling anybody. Because I was like, the next thing I knew, it's like, hey, we're living in Atlanta. I'm like, you're what?
Well, we have been thinking about it for a while because, I don't know if you know, but I also have a production company that does, festivals and events and stuff like that. And my partner's based out of Atlanta. And I was in New York just working with a bunch of amazing artists. And I got an opportunity to work with Janelle Monáe on the production side. And her label Wonderland is based out of, her production company Wonderland is based out of Atlanta. So I had a couple of festivals that I was production managing. And I was coming down to Atlanta a lot. And then I hooked up this gig with Janelle, and it just seemed like a good move, I was kind of ready to get out of New York, even though I love New York, but I felt like it was time for a change, and so that gave me the impetus to come down here.
Right. Well, that's cool. Okay. And you moved down there, I guess, about 2 years ago now?
Yeah, we moved down here, I want to say in spring of 2019. And,
okay.
Oddly enough, it's funny because I was working so much that we actually moved, and the day after I got here, I left to go on a tour in Europe for 2.5 months. So I didn't even really get to spend time in Atlanta while Sarah was working here on a bunch of stuff and kind of settling us in. But so I kind of moved, but I didn't really. And it was not until about 6 months later that I really got to come home and kind of settle in to the groove down here. And it's quite different than New York, man.
I would imagine. I've never actually been to Atlanta.
Right.
So is Atlanta like COVID free, or is it like
no.
like not at all?
No.
Don't visit, you'll never be allowed back in.
It's pretty bad down here. I mean, there was kind of probably a couple days where the curve was kind of flattened, but our mayor's been doing an amazing job at trying to keep everybody sane and keep it contained. But our governor is on the opposite side of the fence, and but yeah, it's pretty bad down here. I'm sure you know that. I don't know if it's as bad as it was in New York. I know you guys were pretty locked down pretty hard, but...
We're about to go into phase 4 on Monday. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, we're in phase 1, I guess, which is, we're supposed to shelter in place and not go outside and not gather and social distance and all that stuff. But it's such a strange time that we're living in with this COVID.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of a wake-up call. It's kind of bringing things to a point where, there's a lot of things that we're doing to this planet and doing to each other that I think it's making us look inward and address those kind of things. So that's a positive aspect of it, I suppose. But
right. And we're getting a chance to know ourselves, as you mentioned. But
yeah.
I mean,
sure, I've actually used it as an opportunity. I've always been into the outdoors, and we've been actually going out and camping a lot and doing that kind of stuff to social distance and kind of get out of the craziness, and it's been great.
That's amazing. Yeah. I've just been working out a lot and getting my arms back and my legs back, and
Yeah, you look great. I love the nails too.
And I did the nails. But let's talk about your music. So
Okay.
you were now in this video you have that from Leisure Cruise. Sorry,
Yes.
my mic doesn't always neurons not firing properly. Anyway, too many years of too many things. Anyway, or old. I but so you have this new, like, I guess kind of pop alternative song with Leisure Cruise, right?
Yes.
And Julia Stiles is starring in it.
Yes, that's actually an older video that I sent you of a song called Crime Tip, and which we shot a couple years ago. We just released a 5-song EP called Mind Eraser. But that particular song, yes, it's a video with Julia Stiles and John Morris of the Windmill Factory. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. But let's circle back to the Julia Stiles thing. How did that come about?
Well, I met Julia a long time ago through Moby and Laura Dawn. I don't know if you know Laura Dawn, the singer for Little Death, but and then it turns out 6 Degrees of Separation. She knew Leah Siegel, who's a singer for Leisure Cruise, and John Morris, who's a creative director. And when they were coming up with the idea to shoot the video, she popped into their heads, and she came to a show that we were doing in New York, and loved the band and was like all about it.
Cool. Leisure Cruise. Now, I remember I saw you guys once at Baby's All Right, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that was the show. Baby's All Right.
And everybody was wearing white. It was like really glam looking, so it was really fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where you are. So you guys have a new record, and that's out. It's on Bandcamp.
It's on Bandcamp. You can also find Leisure Cruise on iTunes, and I think Spotify as well. Or you can go to iloveleisurecruise.com and check the band out there. Plus, they have a YouTube channel with a bunch of videos that are pretty cool. And yeah, it's kind of weird because when I was working with so many amazing people in New York, and then I left to work with Janelle and travel a bit, and I just had gotten back off the road. We were going to take a break, and I was planning on, going back to all these music projects that I was working on so vehemently and passionately. And then COVID hit and kind of put the brakes on everything. So I think it's been a great time to utilize that to kind of to write and to practice and to, hone the craft and use it as a time of reflection, which I think is necessary for, of course, the creative process. True.
Now, I know you're originally from San Francisco, am I right?
Yes. Grew up in there in San Francisco.
And you also have like a dance background, is that right? Or am I making stuff up from like...
No. I was a ballet dancer for about 10 years. From the time I was a kid up until my late teens, and I was doing quite well with San Francisco Ballet, and then I got injured and started playing drums again. And it was very fortuitous because had I not gotten injured, I would have continued dancing and probably not picked up the drums. But because I got injured, I decided that I kind of didn't want to be a half-assed dancer, and started playing the drums again and hooked up with some people and started a band and got our first record deal, and the rest is history.
So which band was that?
There's a band called Circle of Soul.
Okay.
We were on Hollywood and Capitol Records. We put out 2 albums. We're doing very well. I had like a top 10 song on the charts, and then we were like a funk rock band. And then as so often happens with bands that are getting popular and famous, we fell into a lot of bad habits and started doing crazy shit, and we all went our separate ways. But it was a a great experience nonetheless.
And that was probably like, what, 1990 or something?
That was the late 80s, early 90s, yeah.
Cool.
He kind of peaked right before Nirvana, and then Nirvana came along, and the whole hair rock thing just, completely disappeared.
A lot of people have mentioned that on this show, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of common.
Not that we were really part of that genre. We were more along the lines of like Aerosmith and meets Living Colour meets Sly and the Family Stone, but that was what was going on at the time. So, but transition is always important in music. It always happens. So change is good. Just got to roll with it.
Right, and then something else comes out of it, and that's amazing. And
yeah.
People get tired of that too, so then the next thing comes along.
Yeah. You just got to stay creative and stay out there doing your thing,
It does sound kind of like a cool band, though. That's something I'd like to hear sometime. So
I'll send you some tracks.
That would be neat.
It still kind of stands up. It's a little dated, but being honest, but
things get whatever. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm
proud of it. It was my first time kind of in the big leagues, and I learned a lot, and I got a lot out of it. I mean, that brought me to playing with Duff McKagan for a couple of years, being his drummer and touring the world, and which opened up a whole other land of opportunity for me. So it was a good time.
Was that when he was doing his punk band?
No, it wasn't really punk. It was. There were some punk influences for sure, and we did pay homage to a lot of punk rock and punk roots in his music. But it was kind of a mashup of punk and rock and soul. It was a great. It was a really good album, actually. Believe it me, I think it's highly underrated, but.
Now, you also mentioned that you played with Moby at one point. I remember because I saw you playing with Moby and the Little Death.
Yes.
And how did that all come about?
Well, I had Loredon, the singer. Her and I had been working together in a bunch of different bands, but her band Fluffer, which was an all-girl kind of alt-rock punk band, we did a bunch of touring with like the Melvins and stuff like that. And then she got a record deal out of LA and did a solo album. And we toured behind that for a couple of years. And then she knew Moby from hanging out in New York. And I had met Moby a few times from hanging out in New York. But they kind of had this idea of putting this organic kind of like blues rock band together. And they asked me to come to some rehearsals and sit in. And the four of us just gelled super hard, and I think we wrote like 20 songs in 2 rehearsals, just off the cuff, spontaneously, and that's how the Little Death was born. And then did a bunch of shows, traveled the world, shot a couple videos, and then Moby and Laura decided to move to LA. And we all kind of went our separate ways for a bit, but it's still a functioning band, and we're actually thinking about doing some shows, possibly in the fall once all this stuff boils over, if it ever does.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Can't live this way forever.
And then I did some solo shows with Moby, just different shows that he was doing. He doesn't like to tour very much anymore, but that was a great experience working with him because he's such an awesome creative entity. Him and Laura, Darren, all of them. And Sherry Martorena. You know Sherry, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, Sherry and Jamie Ray. It was such a wonderfully creative band. Everything just came so effortlessly when we were together in a room. And so I'm looking forward to getting back together with them as soon as this business is done.
So what's next for you?
Well, as I said before, I finished up with the second half of Janelle's Dirty Computer Tour, and we did all the big festivals here and in Europe, and we came back for a 2-month hiatus, and then COVID hit, So now we're just kind of, personally, I'm just taking this time to really just do a bunch of the things that I haven't been able to do before because I haven't had the time. Sarah and I are just getting ready to go on a camping expedition across the Northwest. Just, reading books that I don't normally read, catching up on movies and Netflix and writing and discovering, all the different avenues of myself that I haven't been able to express because, you just get so caught up in doing everything all at once, all the time, especially in New York. So I'm really taking advantage of this time to just kind of just be at peace, to kind of just chill out and look at the world and look at myself and hang out with my dog and my wife and have fun.
Mine as well.
Yeah, and it's heavy right now. It's with everything going on with COVID and all the stuff's going on with what's going on with the racial inequality in the world right now and in this country. And I think there's a lot of things that we as human beings have to address in how we're doing things. And I think if COVID hadn't happened, maybe some of this other stuff wouldn't have happened as well. So, like I said, I think it's a really good time for reflection and for change. And
you definitely have a point because, there was, and forgive me for not remembering his name, but there is a young man in Texas who was a violinist and wore a mask all the time because he had trouble breathing or something, and he was unarmed and the police still shot him down.
Right.
And I'd never heard of this until recently. Now that, and I'm glad it is, that, Black Lives Matter is really coming to the forefront of what it is. Stories that you've never even heard about in the last few years are, in your face, and that's where they belong,
Absolutely. It's I'm calling it the evolution revolution. I think we have to evolve, and we have to stop avoiding the uncomfortable conversations, and we have to start really looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, what can we do to make humanity better? What can we do to make society better? What can we really do to change the way things are? Because we all fucking know what the problems are. I just don't think that we address them because we're too caught up in other bullshit. And I think that it's a great time for everybody to take this time to look within and say to themselves, what can I do to make the world a better place?
Right. It could be something small like, complimenting somebody on their outfit, or that you wouldn't ordinarily talk to, or something like that, or just asking, breaking barriers, I think, is the big solution here. Just break any barrier that you can without, that's something simple even. Do you know what I'm saying?
Isn't that crazy to think about, though, that we live in this, in the modern world, and the fact that we even have to think about these things about
it's ridiculous.
Bias and prejudice and all that other bullshit is just, sometimes it blows my mind that we're still at that point.
Agreed.
But instead of getting, it's hard not to get angry at that. But for me, I want to try to channel that into what can I do to affect change on a positive level, and whether that's with music, whether that's going out and doing some grassroots shit politically or in my neighborhood, in my community, doing whatever I can to make sure that those biases and prejudices and all that hatred and fucking fear is just kind of
dissipate. Time to go. Time to move on.
Time to move on. And I think if you're not willing to do that in this modern society, you better get the fuck out of the way because it's happening.
Agreed.
And,
one of the best things that I thought Cuomo said was, how these poorer areas, they're more affected and whatever. He's like, but why is that? And why aren't they getting better help? Why are certain people ready for it, privileged, to go to a city like me, and then you live in I'm just using New York areas because I don't know Atlanta, but you go to Harlem or Jamaica, and there are people getting sicker more often because they don't have the care. I'm like, yeah, everybody should have the same care. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's beyond absurd. There's more than enough wealth and materials and resources in the world for everybody to have universal health care. I mean, we shouldn't have to pay for it at all.
We shouldn't.
It should be a given. It's a human right that anybody should be able to take care of themselves and their family and their health without having to struggle or worry about it. But outside of our wonderful idealism, it's a truth, and I think that that's what I'd like to see right now, especially with our current leadership in this country, is some leadership and some ingenuity and some. I can't even. It's hard for me to get into it because I don't really like to talk politics, but
understand.
It's time. It's time for a change, and it's time that we all stand up and rise to the occasion.
Agreed. Well, I agree with that. So, I don't know where to go from there, but well,
I was really pleased that you asked me to be on this, because Sarah and I have such deep roots in New York City, and I miss all of you so much. All the great musicians that I've worked with and known up there, and is there any music going on at all anywhere?
Well, right now, no, but there was. I mean, it's funny because the last show I was at was actually something I sang backup at the Treehouse, which is part of a bar called 2A for those of you who are from out of town. And although I don't know that anybody is on this one, but anyway, there was, and it was a tribute to the Beatles, but somehow I ended up singing a Little Richard song.
Wow.
And before he passed. So, I think it was Long Tall Sally or something like that. I have the video somewhere. And it was with Crystal. I forgot her last name. She wasn't happy to have me on stage. I don't know why, but whatever. I'm like, I still got video of it, and because of me, there's video. So let's all play. Let's all make nice. But yeah, it was that was actually the last thing I went to. There's still shows. It's not as popular as it once was. The fun we used to have up until probably around 2012 or something, maybe even 2013, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's crazy because we're trying to, the people that I work with and Janelle's camp and my production partner and Sarah, who's also my production partner. We're all trying to. It's kind of fun because we kind of have to reinvent the wheel and thinking of new ways on how music's going to progress, not in terms of music, but in terms of how it's going to be presented. It's going to be interesting. I think a lot of really interesting things are going to happen.
There's some people that are putting, like Monsters of Rock Cruises. They have, they've been putting on a lot of hour-long shows on Facebook just that people can get together and play, and so audiences don't have to, go out of their mind with no live music. But what do you call it? So that's been one thing that I've been noticing.
I'd like to see some virtual reality stuff start happening.
So instead of just watching, say, Janelle on a stage,
let's say you could watch Janelle on a stage, but
there's flowers coming.
It's like a camera that's doing 360 turns and angles, and so you get to watch it from. It's almost as if it's a really immersive experience. So it's not just like you're watching a band on a stage, but you're watching a band from all angles and with other stuff going on, and maybe some sensory stuff going on. There's lots of stuff you can do with that. That's stuff that I've been talking about with a few people, and I'm excited about what that might lead up to.
That might be something that people have to look into, because with social distancing the way it is now, I'm like, what is it going to be, 2029 before anybody has a concert ever again? And by then my nephew, who's 15, he's 15, he'll be like, well, he'll be a lot older. He'll be an adult. That's crazy. No more thinking.
Yeah. What do you think about drive-in concerts?
What do I think about what?
Drive-in concerts.
Driving lessons?
Drive-in, like drive-in concerts.
Drive-in concerts could be cool. I mean, when you're sitting in your car, it's not going to work in New York, obviously, because we don't have cars. We'll have to, that'll change New York forever. It's like we were a non-car city, now we had to become one to have, or people could just rent cars or get like a zip car for the day. I mean, it's not as... Part of the fun about being at a concert, I mean, it depends. If it's punk, you want to slam into somebody. But, like, you know, part of the fun of being at a show is the fact that there are so many people there. But then some of the, you know what, some of the, maybe it's a good idea.
It'd be interesting to see how it pans out. There's nothing like that energy of standing next to people and interacting with the band and all that kind of stuff. So
what are people going to be screaming out their car windows? Woo! You know?
Right. Dancing on the roofs.
Well, anyway, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. This has been a really great interview, though.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, love. And
my pleasure.
Yeah, we're thinking of all you guys in New York and hoping that you all get through it and stay positive and stay healthy and keep rocking the way you do.
I'll have to fly down to Atlanta.
You're welcome. Our door's wide open anytime.
Awesome. All right.
All right, babe.
Have a good night. Stay good. Be good to each other. And you've been watching the Share It, Share Alike show with my guest, Aaron Kinsley-Brooks. I'm Cher Gorgeous. This is Hotel Sharifornia, and this has been a Serendipity production. Thank you, Cher. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.